after the fiasco involving Enron.
Right.
And now this is relevant to any legal accounting entry, any illegal accounting entry, including expenses. So what we've got here, if you take Sarbanes-Oxley regulations to heart, is a situation where something criminal was occurring. So it's a curious affair indeed. So in terms of the websites and the reaction to that, what has been the reaction to you putting that information live?
Well, it's as you would say, it's all gone completely Pete Tong again.
Right.
I mean, I'd just like to explain a little bit about my background. I like to think I'm a regular person. I'm sure everybody says that about themselves. But I've always had, I'm not against the police, I'm not anti-state, I'm not here trying to cause any problems. Generally, if there's a problem, a serious problem, the first people you go to are the police.
Yes.
So you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
I really just want to put some context and some perspective. My complaint or my issue is with the officers and the operatives from Kroll in this context that have, the way that they've managed and dealt with me. You know, I've always been respectful of the police. I've always been brought up to be respectful of authority, not to challenge it. Obviously, I'm challenging it now because it's really questioned some of my beliefs, because this is so clearly wrong. I feel so compelled to speak about it because it's wrong.
This is what I said in the introduction in terms of the surveillance society. I know people who will tell me, if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to fear from surveillance. Now, this seems to be the example that proves that that's not the case anymore.
I think I would have been very sympathetic to that view as well, I have to say. I have to admit that. But showing you that how people can pull strings because of personal connections or whatever the connections are, you're never really going to know, and you're never really going to find out. But clearly strings are being pulled. When it happens to you, clearly you have a choice to sit there and do nothing and just do what most people do, which is complain, but do nothing about it. I've taken the option of actually saying, hang on, if this can happen to me, this can literally happen to anyone.
Yeah. Now, we'll take a few more of your texts in a moment, but just to ask you, Ian, I gather you've got some celebrities on your side who are waving the flag, as it were. Yeah,
we've had some interesting, very, very interesting endorsements that have come along and just said that, you know, if this case is what it is, then good for you for standing up. If I'm out, I'm not shy. I should probably tell anyway. But I'm not embarrassed because this is just wrong. This is wrong. So, you know, I can see that it could, you know, it could be embarrassing for me and it doesn't look right. And I have to say as well, when I tell people, because I do go to Speaker's Corner and speak about freedom of speech now, which I've never done anything like that. I've never even voted, which I know is a whole other issue. But when I tell people, they stand back and they're amazed and they think, what bit of the story is this guy not telling me?
Right.
And I say to them when I'm at Speaker's Corner, if you were standing here and I was listening to you, would I believe you? Possibly not. But the truth will come out.
I mean, this is the thing, you're actually demonstrating that you appreciate that this is so outlandish and separate to most people's figment of reality, if you like, but it does come over.
Their perception of reality, definitely,
That's it. So anyway, let's see if we can get some texts. Here's Melissa again to hear what your comments are.
James says he's been following Ian, says he has true British fighting spirit, fighting for unalienable rights. Go for it, son. Sounds like the financial industry has got its own protective army. A personal friend of yours has written in, I'm disgusted with the way a personal friend is being treated, and I hope they get what they deserve. And Dougie from Corby says, does Ian know that Colonel Gaddafi supports his case?
Colonel Gaddafi. Well, that's one to have in your corner, I think.
Yeah, some activists put a big banner of my website up on his London house.
Gaddafi's London house?
Yeah, they put a big police expenses banner on his house.
Has that helped the cause?
It's funny. It's funny. And I mean, we live in the real world and it's a very serious issue. But you know, when I saw it, it did make me smile, and I put it on my website because it's funny. But you know, we don't want to detract from the seriousness of what's going on.
Well, indeed, because literally this isn't over for you yet.
No,
because we were mentioning the website earlier, and I gather you've now got to go to court over the contents.
Yeah, I'm going
of that.
to. Yeah, I'm going to court on the 15th of June at Westminster Magistrates Court. What had happened was I put this website up that's created the narrative of my story, saying this should not happen. This is what's happened to me.
Yeah.
My home is then raided by the City of London Murder Squad. They're part of the Major Crimes Directorate. It's basically a murder squad, but they don't call it that. And my office is again.
Yeah.
I get a phone call. I'm not there. I get a phone call. I call them back and say, look, you really don't need to send loads of officers to come and arrest me. If you say I want you there at 3:10 in the morning at this police station, I'll turn up. You know, I'm not violent. I'm very compliant. Very compliant. So the officer says, could you come in tomorrow at 1? I went, yeah, no problem at all. So I turn up the next day, and I'm now charged with creating a threatening, harassing website.
Creating a website which discredits a person personally and professionally.
Sounds very civil. Sounds very civil.
Yeah.
Sounds very civil.
And you've got Michael Walkin, the QC, representing you.
Absolutely, yeah. He's been voted I believe he's been voted Britain's best cross-examiner. So, you know, if someone on the other side isn't being wholly truthful, shall we say, he's the man. And
in terms of, for instance, we've got a quote here from DC Sarah Mayo of the City Major Crimes Directorate, who has said, if you say, print or publish anything, even if it is completely true, if it upsets or causes offence, then a criminal offence has occurred.
Yeah.
That's just mind-boggling.
It is. I mean, again, what is Murder Squad or the Major Crimes Directorate being involved in my website? I mean, it's freedom of speech. That comment that comment was put back to me by Sarah when I said, hang on, the contents of my website are true and I can tangibly back them up. But she said, it doesn't matter if it's true. If someone feels upset by it, then a criminal offence has been committed.
Oh, goodness.
I don't think they like me.
Well, I mean, it appears to me that all you're doing is actually standing up and being counted.
Absolutely. That's how it feels to me. I don't feel I'm being a troublemaker. I can see how I'd be perceived as a troublemaker by the police because they don't like what I'm saying about them. And the narrative of my story is about the police.
And I would be surprised, and I am surprised that this has gone on so long, and no major no major media outlet has gone for this.
No.
So
they're all watching it, but none of them are printing it. No.
So nobody's actually stepping forward and going, Ian, come on, there's got to be a hole in this story somewhere.
Well, I got a call last week. I got a call last week from Michael Wolkine, QC, saying, "Would you like to come along tomorrow to my chambers? We've got some journalists here that would love to see you."
Right.
They've contacted me. They weren't sure about your story because this surely can't be true. So they didn't approach me. They spoke to Michael, and Michael confirmed the story. And I had to go there for sort of 4 or 5 hours and just run through the narrative, which is what I've done with you, and tangibly prove and back up what had gone on. And they were absolutely gobsmacked, and they're going to be running it nationally.
Right. That is excellent.
It's fantastic.
The story will out there.
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
As long as nobody gets in the way.
Well, no,
you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I think another chance then to the final roundup of our text. I'm conscious of the time is dipping down, so over to Melissa one last time.
Yeah, only one really. You've had the full force of the Brotherhood. Somebody sent in.
The full force of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure there's an in-track on that one there somewhere. Hello, Brotherhood, whoever or wherever you may be. The one final thing on all this is I'm conscious that you've been making freedom of information requests. Now, in terms of this, sometimes we know that these requests, there's obfuscation that gets in the way of getting hold of them. Who have you made these to? What's been the reaction?
Well, I've made various requests to City of London Police about one, disclosure of the emails between the City of London Police and Kroll, the cost of the operation, the firearms, how many officers were firearmed, who authorised firearms on what grounds. Everything's been declined as it's not in the public interest.
Really?
It's just, as you say, you just couldn't make any of this up.
So, in effect, what we need to do is look out for what happens on the 15th of June.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your website many times where people can get information on that, etc., etc. So visible support would be nice.
Fantastic. And also Facebook, Ian Puddick, that would be really helpful, because we are going to obviously big up the freedom of speech aspect. But I would like to say just one, I appreciate we're conscious for time, one very, very sinister turn in this whole episode was just before Christmas, my home was broken into professionally. The police forensics said professionally, and all of my court defence paperwork was stolen. And the local inspector said, someone clearly wants to know and get the heads up on what you're going to say before you say it. And my home was bugged. My home was bugged.